What if I was to tell you that a wide receiver coming into Georgia is going to go ahead and have a bigger impact than a current and returning wide receiver Georgia player? We're going to see how you feel about it next on Locked On Bulldogs.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. I, of course, am Daniel. He, of course, is Clint, and we are the Locked On Bulldogs. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day. Hello, as always, to the 199, the loyal third segment listeners, those who are here every single day and stay till the third segment. Today's episode brought to you by the fine folks over at FanDuel. We love them very much. Locked On. FanDuel.com/locked on is where you need to go to check them out. More on them in a moment. But Clint mentioned it. We're talking about the offense today. We're going to talk about it in its many phases, but we're going to begin the conversation by talking about somebody that Clint's kind of become enamored with, if I could, lately. Listen, we've known each other long enough, Clint. We've been friends for a long time. I can see when you get that little twinkle in your eye, like I can see when your buddy shows up to like the guys like hang out or whatever, and he's just got that little bit of extra. So you're like, okay, talk to me about what's going on. Clint's got that right now, and it has to do with a young man named Colby Young, transfer wide receiver coming into the program out of the University of Miami. They like to say the U down there.
They like to say lots of things.
Well, that's true. He comes to Georgia, and reports coming out of camp are that Colby Young's just come in here, and he putting on a little bit of a show, if I could be so bold. Now he's been a little bit limited in some of the practice reps we've heard, but reports are that he's looking absolutely fantastic. And so we thought, well, this is not the first time, Clint, that Georgia's seen a wide receiver transfer into the program and be poised to have an immediate impact on the program. In fact, we saw something very similar happen all the way back to, let me think about what year it was, last year, when a guy named Dom Lovett came over from Missouri. They like to say Mizzou, not the U, but Mizzou. The Missouri Compromise, and he compromised and said, no, I don't want to live in Missouri anymore, and so I will move to Athens. So Dom Lovett came over, and he immediately kind of plugged himself in. I think, aided a little bit by some injuries to guys like Ladd McConkey, especially early on, but he was able to come in and kind of establish himself for little bit of a role early on. Now Dom Lovett comes back, Clint, but Colby Young comes over. Do we see Colby Young having that kind of an impact? And if so, what does that mean for a returning player like Dominic Lovett? I'm curious your thoughts.
Here's the deal. Coming out of Miami, everybody wants out of Miami, Daniel. There is just quarterbacks, wide receivers, everybody. It's really odd because I was, told that Florida's the state that everybody wants to go to.
South Beach.
Turns out, South Beach. No, everybody's leaving. Everybody's out of there. Colby Young had, in fact, Tyler Van Dyke and a number of other quarterbacks in the quarterback room throwing him passes last year. Now, the reason why this is important because the offense was horrible at Miami, Daniel.
Horrible.
It wasn't just bad coaching decisions, although that is what led to their demise in a number of games. But they were not accurate. They were not coached well. They didn't have a scheme. They were not accurate. There was a number of passes. Colby Young was, I think, 3 for 11 on deep passes, catching in those balls. He only had 2 drops. Of those passes, many of them not even catchable. It wasn't his, again, it wasn't on him to catch all 11 of those passes. However, if you look at what he was able to do, He had 47 passes on 63 targets, 563 yards. And the big thing for me, 11 of 17 on contested catches. Now, Daniel, I told people before, and this is what words coming out. Dom Lovett, number of other wide receivers on this roster don't fit the mold that Colby Young fits. 6'5", 215, contested catch radius, and ability to bring in big plays that it's not like he's not running these routes. It's not like he's only doing a quick little fade for 7 yards in the end zone. It's not like he's only doing an option route. This guy is trying to go ahead and take the top off. It just so happens that he had a horrible offensive system, horrible quarterback throwing to him. And on contested balls, he gets a lot of them. He averaged up close to 12 yards per catch. First year, second year, 12 yards per catch, 5 touchdowns in each of those campaigns with an anemic offense. Daniel, this is a piece of the offense that I can go ahead and say Brock Bowers is gone. Contested catches he was okay at. He was more athletic in the open field, grabbing things and just running through, over, around, and seeming like no one could actually bring him down doing yoga poses on the sideline. Colby Young can go ahead and get a pinpoint pass. I wonder if we have a quarterback that is good at pinpointing deep rocket.
He can fit it in. He can fit it into a window. Now, again, don't hear us saying what we're not saying, because, again, I can already feel you typing in the comments. I can actually feel that as you do it. We're not saying that Dom Lovett and Colby Young are the same player. We're not saying that we're not saying they have overlap in that way. What we're saying is that Dom Lovett came in and had an immediate impact last year. Colby Young comes in and has an immediate impact this year. That's what we're projecting. And so let's talk, Clint, about what kind of an impact that could be. What do you project as a stat line for Colby Young? That's the question that I want you to answer right after these.
And these are, in fact, FanDuel. We told you we were going to talk about them. Here we are talking about them. FanDuel, say goodbye to the busted brackets.
Integrity is what that's called.
Because FanDuel lets you bet on every single game of the tourney. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. Okay, Daniel?
I do it. I didn't have a busted bracket. I predicted on the Speakeasy Sports Show 5 weeks ago that Auburn was going to lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament. What happened, Clint?
What happened? Well, see, what had happened, whether you're betting on a big upset or a 1 seed, it's time to go dancing. America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on point spreads, money lines. You can even pick who's going to win it all. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and bet on college hoops until the nets come down. But Daniel, that's not the only people we want to talk about. We also want to talk about eBay Motors. eBay Motors is fantastic. Keep your ride or die alive. Passion drive patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle, level it up to peak performance, superchargers, roof racks, LED headlights, more. Power, style, speed, eBay Motors has you covered. Over 122 million parts for your ride or die. You'll find exactly what you're looking for. eBay Guaranteed Fit fits your ride every time, or your money back. eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available for U.S. customers.
So, Clint, let's talk about some projections then for Colby Young. What kind of a situation should Georgia fans expect out of the young man? A, do you think he'll be the most, at this point, knowing what you know so far, do you think he'll be the most productive newcomer wide receiver that Georgia has this season? That includes freshmen and transfers.
It will include all of them, and it depends on what you mean by productive. If you mean receptions, no, I don't think so. I think Humphreys will have more receptions than Colby. If you're talking touchdowns,
that's
a horse of a different color.
Is points.
I like points. Yeah, no, it's almost as if that's the point, is to go ahead and score the points and stop the other team from scoring the points. If you look at Dom Lovett from last year, he had about the same amount of receptions as he did at Missouri, went down in yardage, but gained in touchdowns and was on the field, I think, for less time than he was at Missouri. He was on the field more, had more snaps. So when you hit the field, Dom Lovett hit the field, his production increased on a per snap basis. I only anticipate that to go up, and I think Dom Lovett reception-wise will have more receptions than Colby Young. 54 last year. Colby Young had about 47, 32 the year before. I think he's going to be around that, but I think the percentage that are touchdowns is going to go up. I put Colby Young 8, 9, possibly double-digit touchdowns.
Oh,
I don't
my.
care. Because if you look at it, Oscar Delp is good touchdown, or a good tight end, okay?
Oh,
he's not going to
my.
replicate. He's not going to replicate the season that Brock Bowers has. If he does, sweet, awesome,
Oh,
fantastic.
my.
Colby Young, I think, is going to get 8 touchdowns. He only needs 3 more than his previous year with a better quarterback, a better system. He's going to need to get on the field. So again, Colby, please, I beg you, love blocking. Just
blocking is
all day.
awesome.
Okay, you love it. I love it.
You got a long, wiry frame. You can get out there, throw your body around. It's fun. It's fun to block. Go do it.
I anticipate 50 receptions, 8 of them touchdowns, is what I would say, Daniel. What would you say about his
5 to 6 touchdown range? I do think on a per snap basis, his usage rate is going to go down. His productivity on a per snap basis is going to go up, just like it did, because that's what Georgia does a wideout. Georgia's got a bunch of wideouts. They've obviously got Dylan Bell. They got Ra Thomas. They got Dom Lovett. They have they got a lot of guys that can get in there and are going to get some run at receiver this year. But I do think Colby Young is going to be, I think he might have the most receptions of all the newcomers. I really do. I think he might find himself in that role. I think he might see the field quite a bit, but I do think he's going to be utilized in the red zone. I do think you're going to see him go over the top. And I do think you're going to see him score in the 5 to 6 touchdown range, which will be an incredibly great level of productivity for a newcomer wide receiver in the system.
There's nothing stopping this guy from seeing the field because, again, he doesn't have only a limited amount of route tree that he can run. His body and his length and his agility and his power and his contested ball is going to keep him on the field third down. This is we all want to try to pigeonhole wide receivers into comps that we should never ever do. Lad McConkey is not just a slot receiver. He was able to do first, second, third down because he can do contested catches very well over the middle, anywhere, slot as well as on the outside. But I think the same here.
Well, Brock Bowers is a tight end, so he'll probably be the next Travis Kelce. Am I doing it right? You
have done it right. By the way, the best compliment I was paid on YouTube comments, literally, I thank you for saying that I'm not an NFL GM, but a podcaster. Thank you.
Oh, dear Lord. They just looked into your soul and it said the most affirming thing they could possibly think to say. It's unbelievable.
All right. Stupid.
So that's Colby Young. Let's quickly shift the rest of the second segment. Let's shift our conversation to the running back room. Okay. Last episode, we talked about ETN, and we're not going to talk about it this episode. I promise you that. So that situation notwithstanding, okay?
Correct.
That situation notwithstanding, what do you see Georgia's running back room looking like this season, Clint? Where do they go in terms of breakdown, in terms of productivity, in terms of splits of carries? I think a lot of it, right, is going to hinge on the health of Branson Robinson. That's where the conversation has to start.
It has to start with just how good is the strength and conditioning of the running backs room heading into fall. That's the beginning and the end, because if those number of guys coming off of injury, right? So don't just say Branson Robinson, he is on injury, but a number of other guys coming off a number of significant leg, knee, ligament issues. And Daniel, I think probably the most important running back we have as of today is a freshman named Frazier. I think he's the most important running back we have. He's not hurt. He's going to go ahead and get some run, Daniel, in camp, because again, you don't want to run guys too much in the reps as you look forward to the season. Branson Robinson should be a workhorse and should be the dude that carries the rock on most downs for us and leads this team in carries. But as of right now,
you can't count on that. You can't count on that.
No, and you shouldn't, because we don't know anything. And guess what? We won't know anything at all until week 1 of the season. And even then,
and we probably still won't know anything then, because coming off this injury, whether or not he can play and whether or not he is 100% are two very different things. Ask Kendall Milton about that.
I was just going to say.
Because can play defined a lot of Kendall Milton's career. 100% defined about 5 weeks at the end of Kendall Milton's career, and that's it.
Gosh, it was glorious, by the way.
It was real and it was spectacular for those 5 weeks, Clint. The health of Branson Robinson, I think this year for Georgia almost needs to be set to the side. It's crazy for me to say, but I almost think as a Georgia fan, you need to set Branson Robinson over to the side. Whatever you get out of him will be a bonus. But I think you're looking at Roderick Robinson. I think you're looking at Andrew Paul. I think you're looking at the freshman coming in. And I think you're looking at ETN. I don't know that you can really go to the bank on Branson Robinson this season. Just let yourself be pleasantly surprised if he comes back from this injury and he looks dominant right away this season. I just don't see it. I don't see it happening. Certainly not in the first half of the season. I don't see it happening. Maybe by the time we get to the stretch run, you'll be getting something out of Branson Robinson. But maybe not even then. Georgia's got plenty of backs, but I think you need to maybe mentally move on this year from Branson Robinson.
Yes, and that's hard to do because all of us have the memory of TCU defenders just repelling off of him like water off a duck's back. I understand that. Andrew Paul as well. We don't know the state of any of his health.
We don't know.
And again, we won't. And the wear of tear. That's why I say Frazier to me is the most important running back, because whether he has skill or not right now, he is healthy. And whatever happens to ETN, whatever happens to anybody else, I know that we got a dude who can tote the rock. Kirby's not afraid of getting freshmen into the fold very early. And
that's a position you can come in and play right away.
Linebacker, good luck. CJ Allen's a freak. Even though he wasn't the best freak we've ever seen at the position, he's still a freshman in the SEC playing inside linebacker. That's unheard of.
Yeah.
Running back. Do I go right or left to find a hole?
Yeah. We've seen it.
So that's me with Frazier.
We saw Zamir White. We saw James Cook. We saw plenty of the guys that have played early in their careers. And so I think you'll see some of the freshmen utilized this year, maybe more so than you thought you were going to, especially with the transfer coming in. But running back will be an interesting position. Let's talk about weaknesses, Clint, potentially on the Georgia offense, and let's talk about them right after these.
But first, I want to let you know about Nissan. This week's March Madness Bracket Highlight is brought to you by our friends over at Nissan. Each week, we're picking a team that stands out, a team that pushes harder than anybody else, just like the 2024 Nissan SUVs. These guys are able to take it to the next level. And while their season is over, those Oakland Golden Grizzlies are the Nissan Rogue. Daniel, the team absolutely surprised us with power performances in the first round upset of Kentucky Wildcats. You love to see it.
Here's what it is there are things that you see and you love to see them. And that's
what it was. The Oakland Golden Grizzlies, giving them the biggest win in the program history. They say win life, go Rogue, and that's exactly what the Golden Grizzlies have done there. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada. Go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com.
All right, Clint, where are we going in this third segment here? Where do you want to land the plane today?
We have said all offseason long, the reason that we have the best chance to win college football championship this year, the reason why we have so much excitement for the future of UGA program under Kirby Smart, the reason that we're hitching our wagon to a lot of these hopes and dreams, even with a incredibly difficult schedule.
Yep.
Because another Carson Beck is under center for your Bulldogs. Okay.
He back. That's good.
Make no mistake that our season hinges on him. Okay. Improved defense. Sure. Great.
Yeah. Boy, they better be. Or your boy's going to have serious problems.
I won't be able to control his disdain for me or you. 199. It will be.
You don't like hearing me talk about Georgia basketball. 199. Let the Georgia defense not be much improved this year. Let it. Not
and
be.
Again, I will be the one that has to first take all the text messaging during the entire day, trolling me. He will troll his own co-host if the defense.
Listen, I have to
Because
do what
I will come on this podcast and I will be just tinfoil hat wearing. No, we're fine. Everything's great. I will have to do that. So don't do that to me, Georgia defense. But also, this offense, Carson Beck needs to go ahead and do what it does best. But Daniel, if you were to pick out, I think we have a lot of strength on this Georgia team, a lot of really great position coming in, talent coming in, as well as returning. But if you look at the biggest weakness of this offense, where would you pinpoint the weakness? Now, we've talked about this week. Kirby has come out and said, you all thought you were going to miss SVP, and we're going to miss Van Brandt. He was an incredible one. But we got a dude who's just mauling people. And I
already forgot about him, to be honest with you. Jared Wilson's, I got a tattoo. I got his face tattooed on my arm. Like I'm all in on the Jared Wilson train. It ain't interior offensive line, Clint. I'll tell you that. It ain't interior offensive line.
Just fine.
Dylan Fairchild, we're doing fine in there. Okay, we're gonna be fine. It ain't bigger than a screen. All right, it ain't that. It ain't.
Hold up. I just. Let's just let that marinate.
It ain't that either. Okay. If there's a weakness for this offense,
okay,
I'm going to say two things that are going to make you feel a lot of feelings.
A lot of feels.
But you're asking me for weaknesses. And so
I am.
I have to name weaknesses.
You do.
Weakness A.
Oh, we got multiples. Okay, here we go.
And there's two. Backup quarterback. Okay. If Georgia's in a backup quarterback situation, you put your head firmly between your knees.
And then what?
And then you probably know what to do from there. Like you probably figure it out. It ain't good for Georgia. Okay? Gunnar Stockton fan. Big fan.
Love you.
Gunnar Stockton.
Don't want to see you for a year.
I want to see you every game this year. I want to see you play football in every game this year. And I want it to be because the score is 42-0. Okay?
That's why.
That's why I want to see you play football. I do not want to need you to be good this year. Because if you need Gunnar Stockton to be good this year, Georgia fans, that's not a thing you can feel very good about. B.
Okay.
The weakness B. I know what we talked about in segment 1.
Say it.
Explosivity is weakness B in this Georgia offense. Where do the explosive plays come from? Who goes out and gets you one in this system? Yeah. Because I think our best playmaking pass catcher.
Here we go.
Is Dylan Bell. And I love me some Dylan Bell. Do I not, Clint?
We both do. We think he is the most accomplished, all-around, talented wide receiver on this roster. And we think if you're a GM who's actually looking for an offensive weapon, go ahead and look at him in the first round next year. I have no problem with that. So we love him.
We love Dylan Bell. We think he's the best pass catcher on the team.
Yes.
He is not shown himself to be an explosive playmaker. He is a very good pass catcher.
He is.
Where do the explosives come from in this offense? Are they going to come from Anthony, the little kid, right?
Here we go.
Redshirt freshman. Are they going to come from one of the transfers, Colby Young, who we just talked about? Are they going to come from a guy like Rara stepping up his game and showing himself to be a downfield contested ball catcher? Are we going to see Oscar Delp elevate himself and start using his athleticism all of a sudden to generate 20, 25-yard catches. And I'm not talking about 50-yard touchdowns when I say explosive plays. I'm talking about 20, 25 yards, 30 yards down the field. Where are they going to come from? Similarly, in the running game, we like ETN. We like his ability to bust off explosive runs. Are we going to see them? Are we going to continue to see those runs happen? Because Georgia's going to have to generate some explosivity on offense. Or else Carson Beck's just going to become a field general. And while he's plenty good enough at that,
I have no problem with it.
You're wasting the best quarterback in college football if you don't use him for more than just that. That's my fear. Clint, how do you feel?
Well, I see nothing wrong at all with you just said, because what we're hoping for, I'm just a quick little poll here, Daniel. Are you still waiting for Arian Smith to catch on as a deep threat wide receiver?
There's a reason I didn't mention the young man's name, and I would appreciate it if you'd respect my boundaries that I've set in place and you not mention his name either. Okay? Because we have moved on.
The deal is, if you look at this offense, Dylan Bell, and again, he was utilized as a running back, not because like he's talented, he's uber talented. With the ball in his hand, he's an electric playmaker.
Yeah.
But you need somebody that gives a threat where you look across the other side. And you said Anthony, and I really, really think he can do something out there. On the outside.
100%. At
Anthony
punt return? At punt return, I love him in the slot. I love him making some. I think he could be legit. We haven't seen it.
But we haven't seen it. See, the point is, right now, you and I cannot say. All we're saying is, well, I hope this guy can be that. I hope this guy can be that. Or maybe him. We don't have somebody that says, hey, guess what? Our offense has a Carson Beck 20, 30-yard deep threat opportunity from snap one. We don't have that. And until we do, it's going to be a question mark. And I think you're right. Backup quarterback, again, I don't want to see any of that happening. Right tackle, I am fine with whoever's going to play. Michael Morris, Xavier Truss over there. We're fine. 4 out of 5 that are just rock solid. Intermediate pass game, screen game, running game, I'm fine. It is the who's going to go ahead and just when Carson Beck wants to rip one off. Play action in the second quarter at Austin, and we just want to rip one off.
Just the pocket, just a U-shaped pocket, and he plants his foot, Clint. Ooh, football can't get here soon enough, Clint.
I need it bad.
Football needs to hurry up. We'll be here all off season though with you.
Whole time. This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. We will see you all next time.
See ya.